So this is the 55mm Zeiss for the Sony E-mount system. The 55mm Zeiss was the first lens I've ever bought for the E-mount system. When I first bought it, all I wanted was something that can perform well in a low light situation. I was always interested in night photography, especially neon portraits. And it's something that I couldn't do with my normal phone or any of the other point and shoot cameras. And I needed to make sure that this lens could make my dream come true. And it did. But before I even tested it for a low light situation, I wanted to make sure that it would fit my style for street photography. And I was so lucky to be able to test it on a layover in Japan. The build quality is what to be expected from Zeiss. It's a very minimalistic design with a thin weather-resistant aluminum shell. And that gave me the confidence that I can take it out on the street and not be bothered with a little bit of rain or some dust. So I used it a lot in smoke photography and a lot of other projects. So the lens is very small in size and the weight is around 281 grams. So it's a great lens for street photography and traveling because it doesn't draw attention to yourself when you're using it. So the thing that really stands out in this lens is how sharp it is wide open. So this thing is always sharp at 1.8 that I hardly ever shoot anything but 1.8. Unless it's something that was intentional, then I bump it up to 0.88 and over. So the price tag for this lens is $999, which is quite expensive for a 55mm lens, but you get what you pay for. Zeiss makes an excellent lens, and the true quality shows when you take it up in video format. So the autofocus is very silent and very quick, which is something that you pretty much need when you're doing portraits or you're doing a follow-up shots. But keep in mind, this lens doesn't come with stabilization. So if you're taking it out on the field and you're trying to do a moving shot, it would probably behoove you to put it on a gimbal or a shoulder rig. Other than that, you're gonna get a lot of shaky footage, and even post-processing cannot help you there. Just understand the limitations of the lens and try and use it to its maximum potential. But it might seem that I'm very biased because I absolutely love this lens, but don't take my word for it. But if you're looking to do some product shoots, I'm gonna give this lens to Mike and show us what he can do with it.
Thank you. Check it out.
All right, we're done. The Sony 55mm 1.8. There are a lot of 50mm lenses out there, but this is the one to get if you're on Sony. When it comes to videos and shooting product shots, I like to really get in with the 50mm. More often than not, when I'm shooting with a wider lens, usually like 35 or 24, I don't like the look if I'm shooting flat lays, especially when my table is not so big. It catches the edges and then I have to crop and post, but I save some time cropping when I just use the 50mm. I like it for my B-roll, I like it for products, and it's especially travel friendly because it's light. It's really small, But even if you just say, oh, what's the big deal of a 1.8? It still packs a nice, sharp punch, especially if you close down that aperture at like 2.8. Whether you're casual or professional, you can get a lot done with this lens. If you're gonna be behind the camera most of the time, this is the lens to use. Now, if you're in a pinch and you really like that 85mm look, you can always punch in with your Sony full frame camera with the APS-C or Super 35 mode. So that's a plus too. Another thing that you want to consider when you're traveling, if you like street photography, I really like this because I can keep my distance away and not be in my subject's environment. And then you can punch in additionally for almost what looks like 85mm with the crop sensor mode. So really, you're almost getting like 2 lenses in this. I mean, of course, when you punch in, you sacrifice some megapixels, but yeah, this is great if you're the one behind the lens. You're definitely not going to be able to do vlog style with this lens. But still, for the cost of this, especially lately, now that it's been out for a while, and the quality that it has, so good. For me, there's not too many downsides with this lens. It's a little expensive, especially when you compare it to like the regular Sony 50mm 1.8, but I say it's worth it. This is a great lens. Thanks, Mustafa.
Thanks, Mike. Well, I highly recommend you guys check out Mike's channel. I'm gonna look it up here and it's in the description below. This lens is great and I always take it in my backpack wherever I travel and almost everywhere I go, because I don't want to take a chance with any of my other lenses. If I wanted to take a beauty shot, this is the one that is made for. But hey, if you haven't seen my other review, I've made a review about the 24-105mm. You're gonna find it up here. And until then, just take it one day at a time, and I'll see you in the next video.